Hello and welcome to my High Performance Sports Coaching PowerPoint presentation. I'm George Bartlett and I was the Technical Coaching Consultant for the consultancy company Quick ID. So to start with, I'll just explain a brief history of cricket. The first recorded games of cricket in England were in the 1600s. From its early roots in the first picture here on the right, expanded rapidly throughout the 17th and 18th centuries, and the Daily Telegraph says that on the turn of the 18th century it was played in grammar schools, farm communities and everywhere else in between. Throughout the 18th century the game expanded rapidly again, not just in England but across the world, when noblemen realised the extent of which gambling opportunities could help them make money from the game. And also, thanks to the colonisation of the globe by the British Empire, the game was exported across the world to as far-flung places as Australia, New Zealand, India, Pakistan, South Africa and the West Indies. The oldest existing rules for cricket date from 1744 and were printed on the back of a handkerchief. The game as it is today took shape in the late 19th and early 20th century, when the Marylebone Cricket Club became the first global rule makers of the game, and they continued in that way up until 1998, when the International Cricket Council was formed. Throughout much of the 20th century, the elite version of the game was played by both amateur and professional cricketers, and it wasn't in fact until 1956 that England were captained by the first professional cricketer. In the 21st century, the game today, international teams compete for World Cups across 3 different formats: Test cricket, which is consisted of 5 days, one-day cricket and T20 cricket. And the picture in the bottom here is of the Indian cricketer Virat Kohli, and this picture sort of encapsulates the modernism, professionalism and commercialism of cricket today. So on to our athlete. Our athlete is Ben Slater. He's 28 years of age and he currently plays professionally for Nottinghamshire County Cricket Club. His other teams have included Leeds Bradford University, Derbyshire, Southern Rocks in Zimbabwe and the ECB President's 11. He's a left-handed opening batsman and he started on the path to a professional career at the age of 13 when he signed for Derbyshire throughout their academy. He represented Derbyshire at all age group levels before progressing to the second 11 and signing a first professional contract in 2009. In 2012, he made his professional debut for Leeds Bradford University, and his Derbyshire first-class debut came the following year. In 2018, after 6 successful seasons with Derbyshire, he moved to Nottinghamshire and continues to be a member of their 4-day and 1-day sides. And the picture here at the top is a brief overview of Ben's professional stats. His list day average of 55.55 ranks among the top 10 best in the country. So our first consultation with Ben consisted of drawing up a number of goals in line with Nottinghamshire's coaches for the 2020 season. They're quite broad and not very specific to Ben personally. They don't involve much technical goals, but they are simply to make the first 11 for the first county championship match of the season in late April. Once into the county championship side, his target is to score 1,000 runs in the county championship campaign, which consists of 14 games. He also wants to break into the T20 squad for the 2020 campaign, having not been involved in the T20 campaign last year. He wants to keep his list day average above 50, which with 8 list day games throughout the season, and his name being among the first on the team sheet, he should be able to do so. And also a main target of his is to help Nottinghamshire get back promoted to Division 1, having been relegated last year. So we also drew up a number of technical improvements in coordination with Nottinghamshire's batting coaches for Ben to work on over this winter, and these will become much clearer in the actual slides later on. But firstly, a technical improvement was to change his stance. Ben felt personally last year that his stance was too narrow, his feet were too in line, and he often closed off his stance, which didn't allow him to maximise his scoring shots in certain areas of the field. Over the winter, he decided to change to having his feet slightly more wider and a more open stance, so with his head further towards the ball, and also having his head and his upper body crouched lower to the ground and with one bat tap. His trigger movement has also changed. A trigger movement is something that the batters do right before the ball is bowled, and it allows them to get into the best position to be able to play that ball. Ben felt last year that his first movement was too far back towards the stumps, and he's decided to change that this year with a slightly less and a more subtle movement back, keeping his head still and his hands higher on the bat but lower towards the ground. And also he's decided that he needs to work on attacking good length balls in one-day cricket off both the front and the back foot against spin. The main reason for doing this was because that Ben got dropped from the first team for the county championship at the back end of the 2019 campaign. So this is Ben's annual plan. It starts in November and runs right through until October. The fixtures for the season are outlined in this area. The yellow are the county championship, the green are the one-day list day, and the red are the T20, and the blue are other friendly or pre-season games. Now, the key period we've outlined for technical enhancement takes place within the green box here. This is during the indoor preparation phase, and it gives him the best and ample opportunity to be able to change his technique and also to groove his technique in time for the new season. And looking more closely at Ben's weekly plan during the technical enhancement period, this is a brief overview of his week. And CricID have been allocated 4 hours of contact time, and these take place during his individual technical training sessions on a Monday and a Friday. Robertson and Joyce 2018 state that using periodisation in this way to plan for peak performance is an effective way of maintaining a high standard of performance over a long season. So this is Ben's stance in 2019 and before. As you can see from the photos, Ben's feet are pretty much in line here, here and here. He has a slight bend of the legs. However, his core in general is upright. This means that Ben is standing tall. Furthermore, his back lift is quite high, as demonstrated here, and he is showing his off stump here and here. He also, as demonstrated in this video, doesn't have a bat tap. Now, although this is taken in an indoor clip, it is exactly replicates how he would face spin bowling outdoors. And as you can see, he doesn't bat tap. Such technique suggests that he is trying to stay leg side of the ball. He's targeting the offside with his scoring shots. That is, everything to the left of the left-handed batter. It also suggests that he's trying to gain maximal time with a bigger trigger movement and high hands to be able to play the ball. Obviously, balls can come down to him at speeds of up to 100 miles an hour. Certain drawbacks to this technique mean that he's often resulted in him being off balance, as demonstrated by the yellow lines here and here. And this means that he's quite restricted in his movements, especially when playing shots on the leg side, so everything to the right, of the left-handed batter. So the methods that we went about in analysing Ben's technique were that we observed Ben during a 2-hour individual net session with the Nottinghamshire CC batting coach. We also got clips of him batting from YouTube and from Nottinghamshire's own collection. During that 2-hour net session, the coaches didn't use bowling machines. Instead, they used actual bowlers and slinger machines in the nets, and these best allowed Ben to pick up on the cues and clues of the bowling that he would face outdoors, and also to replicate the performance that he'd find when playing on grass wickets outdoors. Then we used NAC Sport video analysis to analyse Ben's technique, And also I then sought technical advice from the ECB's iCoaching Cricket app and also from the Root Academy coaching app, which give perfect models of the way to play different techniques. Then, with our recommendations and also with Ben's technical targets, was as a result of the change. As you can see from the red circles here, Ben's feet are much more open. His head, knee and toe, demonstrated in this line here, are almost exactly in line, so he's not falling over. He's balanced and his upper body and head are much lower to the ground, again helping with his balance. Furthermore, his back lift, demonstrated here and visualised in this video, are much lower, and the angle of the bat in his stance is much wider. Furthermore, as evidenced in this video, his trigger movement is much more subtle and less exaggerated. As previously, and as a result, he gets into a much better position to play the ball. Now, this technique with a more open stance and a much wider angle of the bat goes against certain perfect models of the batting technique, which are described in the ECB coaching manuals, the iCoach Cricket app, and by Pont 2010. Furthermore, Ben also covers his stumps. This allows him to open up his body and to be able to play the ball to a much wider area of the field and open up the leg side, whereas before he couldn't. So all in all, the changes are significant to Ben's technique from what he's done in previous years to what he's doing this year. And with this season coming up, it'll be interesting to see how Ben goes about with an almost completely redefined batting technique. These are the references that I used to work out and analyse Ben's batting technique. Thank you very much.